Hello. It's what day is it? Goodness knows what day. Tuesday. It's Tuesday night, and we have just watched The Dead Planet. And here we go. Now, it's interesting watching The Dead Planet in this context because up until the moment when something happens, it's just another Doctor Who episode. Of course, back in 1963, even this happening wouldn't have meant much. So, let's ignore that for the time being. And let's concentrate on the fact that what we've ended up with is a complete departure, as we will come to expect from Doctor Who. We've gone from 100,000 BC to a petrified forest with weird metal creatures that are a bit dead, some sense of life, an enormous city, and a script written by Terry Nation. Now, I have issues with Terry Nation. It's not my fault. I was born this way. I don't like clunky dialogue. I don't like poor exposition. I don't like tropes reused over and over again. But then again, this is the first Terry Nation script we've had, so let's treat it on its merits. And what we've ended up with is an interesting episode whereby our four major characters get to explore each other and a brand new world. And it was fun, it was good. So why do I feel a bit let down by it? Well, it kind of was a majority of a very good, tight, claustrophobic Doctor Who episode. Claustrophobic is a word we're using a lot. Mixed in with some weird Harry Potter-esque, look how funky we are. It's always exciting for a Doctor Who fan to see lots of the TARDIS. It always seems a thrill. And invariably it lets you down. Because the TARDIS, as much as it becomes a character, it is effectively a device to let the stories happen, isn't it? So, okay, let's take it bit by bit. We wind it back on this planet. They go out walking. There's a nice sense of them getting to know each other. One thing that's very, very interesting, at one point, Ian and Barbara have a conversation whereby they say something like he has a tendency to get himself in trouble. And the feeling is that they've known the Doctor a lot longer than we know they've known him. They've only known him for what? A couple of days? Less? Captured, tied up, sunrise, sunset. A couple of days. A lot of that spent in a cave. I mean, getting captured twice, which is effectively what's happened, isn't hangable offence. It happens in the context of the world that we're living in. So it's interesting because it's almost as if two periods of time are overlapping. We have the period of time, the fictional period of time, but also the length of time the programme's been running. This is its 5th week, so a month. A month, a month. And it's almost as if that piece of dialogue is written from the perspective of the people at home who've got captured by the story and gone, oh, you're getting into trouble. They've only known him a couple of days. They seem to be more familiar with him. That's fine. I don't mind that. I can explain that away. I am really coming around to the idea that it's Barbara who's the bee's knees in this little group, and it's absolutely shocking that I can't remember the actress who plays Barbara's name. This is a disgusting thing. Barbara is played by Jacqueline Hill. She's good. She's really good. She brings humanity to the part, depth, layers. Ian's great. I mean, Ian's a great character, but he's quite stoic, he's quite solid, he's typical leading man, really, which is why it's very interesting how that dynamic, I suppose, both in terms of the structure of a television programme and in terms of the characters, the way that the Doctor and Ian bang off against each other causes them to both become, the Doctor's enigmatic, he's this alien. Ian's a school teacher, effectively. Possibly been in the army, possibly done this, that and the other. But it's Barbara who shines through, as the one that has the depth of character, I think, and certainly the acting chops, which we will see. Anyway, Forrest, great. I can't get Terry Nation's propensity for throwing in ideas that just seem to weigh a bit heavy. The metal animal is possibly held together by an internal force, magnetic internal. That's Hartnell fluff, paraphrased. Bits like that just drop a bit heavy. But equally, this is 60s science fiction. I'm not an expert in 60s science fiction, but science fiction is supposed to be a medium of ideas. So throw a few ideas in there. Petrified trees, metal animals, great. The city, the model work is, well, I enjoyed it. I got the sense that the good Lady Collins kind of was affectionately mocking it. But I think it's good. I think that anything in Doctor Who at this era has to be taken as representative as opposed to a natural, naturalistic. Maybe using the wrong words here, so I do apologise. But I thought it was good. I thought the incidental music, there was just a note, deep note, resonant note. I think I've heard it in lots of similar things in lots of sci-fi films before, and that worked for me. Created a real air of mystery, so all that's great. Get back to the TARDIS, and as I say, stuff in the TARDIS just kind of lets you down a little bit. Susan's moping about because nobody believes that somebody's touched her. We saw somebody touch her, which is interesting. We know Susan's right. We know there's something going on. That was quite a creepy moment, actually. Perhaps her finest moment yet. But then the moping about, God, gets on my nerves. Nobody believes me. Nobody never believes me. Oh, I'm sorry for being silly, Grandpa. There is hints of fun in the TARDIS, and I do appreciate how Doctor Who, at its best, is a very layered beast. It can take you from horror to comedy very, very quickly. Drama, high drama, farce. It can do it brilliantly. Some of the bits inside the TARDIS felt a bit laboured. I did like, though, the way that the Ian was following the Doctor around. The Doctor was a bit ignoring him, and then it very quickly ratcheted into something a bit more angsty. The whole food machine thing, it's just poncing about, isn't it? It's a food machine. Get over yourselves, really. And I do wonder how much of that is Terry Nation, how much of that is Dave Whittaker, script editor. But by the by, okay, that's fine. It's nice to give us an opportunity after 4 episodes now to allow our characters to have moments where they can develop and be themselves and learn about each other, and we can learn about them. I can't stand the Doctor removing the fluid link for 2 reasons. One, because it's so obvious he's cocking them out of the console. Removing the fluid link means they get trapped. So effectively the Doctor just trapped them on this planet, of which he knows nothing. Everybody started feeling a bit ill. Oh, that radiation meter. And did nobody think to check it twice? Clearly not. There's a big freaking flashing light. You would have thought somebody would have spotted that by now. Nobody has. Fair enough. We'll go on. But the fact that he then strands them on this planet, of which we do not know the name yet, of course, it's just a bit galling. And again, the moments where the Doctor seems more like our Doctor feel much more comfortable, understandably. But the moments where he behaves in that sort of petulant manner feel a little bit forced, to be perfectly honest. I know I'm speaking from a completely different perspective from when it was, originally shown. And that's part of the drama. Let's be frank, that's part of the drama of it. Who is this character? And his insistence on going to the city and doing this, that and the other. Didn't like the fluid link bit at all. They could spin out the whole, I need my measurements to understand where we're going. I need to, they keep going about need to understand where we are to get where we're going. That's a cannier way of doing it, I'm sure. Anyway, by the by. I enjoyed Ian poking at a metal box as if it was a bomb. Partly because in a few episodes, perhaps a few seasons' time, the Doctor just come out and go, oh, it's a box. Somebody's left me a box. Wicked. Let's look what's inside. And also, it might have been a good idea to take that with you. But such is life. Anyway, get to the city. And suddenly, what was an okay, decent episode, with some interest and some layers, suddenly gets mint, to use a word I've not used in a number of years. Apart from the "why don't we split up" line, the way that it's shot, the nature of the corridors being ever so slightly smaller than a person, the way that it's all reflective surfaces, and just as the characters, or particularly Barbara, can't get her bearings, as a viewer you cannot get your bearings. She's gone left, gone right, oh, there's a door, da 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 da. And then, of course, we get something that is a staple of Doctor Who, and we really shouldn't underplay how important cliffhangers are to Doctor Who. This period of Doctor Who has a cliffhanger every week, and we've just had the best one so far. Admittedly, we've only had 4, but we've just had the best one so far. When Barbara, and it's Jacqueline Hill that makes it, because effectively, what do you have when you have a claustrophobic set? That's yes, brilliantly. I think it's brilliantly designed. I think it's brilliantly filmed, but to give that set its point, it needs to have somebody channeling the emotion for the viewer, and Jacqueline Hill nails it. The increase in stress as she realises that she's been locked in, the tension, that brilliant shot where she goes into an elevator, or we don't know it's an elevator, the door closes and it goes black like that. Now, I'm sure if I froze frame it, what would actually happen is somebody just brought out a piece of paper and it wouldn't be a head moving down. That's fine, I'll go with it. I'm not going to knock it for that. But that moment when she's been trapped in that way, trapped in that way, trapped in that way, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, that appears. Okay? Now, admittedly, this isn't a very good example, but admittedly, it's not much, but she gives it some balls. And her scream is just nails on. If Carolyn, oh God, this is shocking, I'm forgetting names. Carol Ford, or whatever. I'm not mad keen on her. If she wanted to learn anything, listen to Jacqueline Hill screaming. That is the most curdling scream. And this becomes a joke, doesn't it? This becomes a joke in years to come. But that moment, let's just seals that. Next week, next time, we're going to talk about design. We're going to talk about impact. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about all sorts of things. But that could have been a joke. And what made it not a joke? What was the single thing that made it not a joke? That moment, that scream, and the moments that had been leading up to it. Bang on. So, okay, we've got plenty of Terra Nation to come. Let's see how we fare. But overall, some great stuff with the Doctor and the companions. Some not so great stuff. But I'm enjoying that whole development. That's working well for me. Susan actually achieved something in this episode. We start to see something of her. Ian, stoic, solid. I think he's just bang on for what he's doing. But seriously, it's Jacqueline Hill. She's the one you want to watch. And this William Hartnell fella. A couple of Billy Fluffs for the uninitiated. That's where Hartnell cocks up. Is Chesterfield? He calls Ian Chesterton Chesterfield. Is it a Billy Fluff? Who knows? But a couple of moments where he cocks up. But we'll live with that. It's Bill, isn't it? God, I've talked for ages. All right then. Night. See you next time. I'm going to cut this bit out at the end.